Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're exploring an absolutely fascinating concept, using intentional silence to reclaim your power. If you've ever felt completely undervalued in a relationship, like you're literally screaming into a void, well, this one's for you. We are breaking down a complete masterclass in Stoic psychology and looking at how pulling back your energy can actually be your absolute strongest defense mechanism.
So let me ask you something. Have you ever given your absolute all to someone? Your time, your energy, your loyalty, only to just be taken completely for granted? We all know that deep emotional pain, right? You give everything, you argue to prove your worth, you try so hard to make them see your value, and you get absolutely nothing in return. It's just exhausting. But what if the solution wasn't to fight harder, but to stop fighting entirely?
Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap to transform from emotionally reactive to completely untouchable. We'll start with the power of silence, move into the scarcity principle, tackle emotional discipline, reclaim your inner power, and finally, look at the dark psychology effect.
All right, kicking things off with Section 1, the power of silence.
We often think of silence simply as the absence of words. But in Stoic psychology, silence is a highly calculated, highly controlled move. Just think about reaction versus non-reaction for a second. When you argue, when you explain yourself and desperately seek validation, you're essentially handing over the remote control of your emotions to someone else. They get to dictate when you get upset. Actually, scratch that. They dictate your entire emotional state. But when you choose complete silence or non-reaction, you completely stop fueling their drama. You retain your power, and you build this calm, impenetrable fortress that literally no insult can breach.
And this brilliantly illustrates a famous point from the ancient Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius. He said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." True Stoic power lies in your actions, in your steadfastness, not in dramatic, messy conflict. You don't need to argue about your worth. You simply embody it. And sometimes, for sure, the absolute best way to embody it is to just quietly step away.
Moving right along to Section 2, the Scarcity Principle.
So, by stepping away, you actually trigger a massive psychological storm in the other person's mind through what's known as the Scarcity Principle. This principle basically dictates that things are perceived as exponentially more valuable when they become rare, restricted, or completely unavailable. It's kind of like a limited edition item in a store, right? The very moment you find out it's hard to get, you want it more. While human psychology works the exact same way. When you're always available, your perceived value naturally drops. But the moment you disappear, boom, it skyrockets.
It's wild to watch how this absence builds in their mind over time. On day one, they might just wonder, why are they quiet? It's just a passing thought. But by week one, the void you left behind really starts to echo. And they start asking, wait, did I do something wrong? And by month one, true panic sets in. Are they gone forever? Your sudden absence literally forces them to confront their own ego and their own mistakes, all while you haven't had to say a single word.
That brings us to Section 3, mastering emotional discipline.
Now, here's the catch, and it's a big one. This entire framework utterly collapses if you don't have absolute, unwavering internal fortitude. Because true power isn't just about leaving, it's about never looking back. And honestly, this is the hardest part. A single text message, a quick phone call, or even just a momentary lapse where you try to explain yourself, that ruins the whole shebang. The source material emphasizes that power has to come from your own self-control from within, not from waiting around to see how they eventually react.
We look again to the Stoics for some guidance here. Epictetus taught us that it is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Just think about that for a second. By choosing to give absolutely no reaction to disrespect, you are actually delivering the strongest, most powerful reaction possible. You are declaring, loud and clear, that your peace of mind is simply not up for negotiation.
Let's jump into Section 4, reclaiming your inner power.
Now, we need to be clear about something. This strategy of absence isn't fundamentally about punishing the other person. It's actually an act of intense self-respect. By removing yourself from a toxic dynamic, you instantly establish firm boundaries. You're clearly communicating, without speaking a word, that you will no longer accept mediocrity or disrespect. You stop fueling their drama, you ruthlessly protect your own peace, and most importantly, you rebuild that self-confidence you lost while trying to prove your worth to someone who just wouldn't see it. Marcus Aurelius reminds us here that the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. When you focus your energy entirely on your own peace, your personal growth, and your goals, you literally change the color of your thoughts. You level up. And the beautiful irony here is, by the time they finally realize your true value and come looking for you, that old, available version of you no longer exists.
And finally, Section 5, the dark psychology effect.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it all culminates in the mind of the other person. The source material maps out 4 distinct subconscious stages of this psychological breakdown. First up is guilt. Your silence acts like a giant mirror, reflecting their poor behavior right back at them. Next is curiosity. Human beings absolutely hate unresolved mysteries, and their minds become thirsty for answers they just can't have. This evolves into stage 3, yearning. They start missing the good parts of the past they took for granted. And finally, it peaks at stage 4, obsession. Driven practically mad by the unresolved mystery of your disappearance, they simply can't stop thinking about you.
To put that into perspective, it's a pretty brutal psychological reality. The perceived value of your attention fluctuates wildly based on your availability. When you're always there, always texting back, always arguing, your value sits at rock bottom. But when you reclaim your energy and go completely silent, your value maxes out. Taking your energy back completely flips the script and leaves them totally stranded in the void they created.
As we wrap up today, it is absolutely crucial to understand that the Stoic application of silence is not about petty revenge. It's not some manipulative game designed to make someone suffer. It is your ultimate protection. It's about building an impenetrable emotional shield around your inner peace so that their toxic behavior simply bounces right off of you.
So, I want to leave you with this provocative thought. Moving forward, will you continue to exhaust yourself arguing for your worth to people who flat out refuse to see it? Or will you take back control, step away, and let your absolute absence speak for itself? The choice and the power is entirely yours. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.